Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel for another reaction on the illegal alien crisis going on in the sanctuary cities and sanctuary state. Recently, or within the last month, 3 of the most prominent sanctuary city mayors got together to try to create a coalition, to create a strength in numbers type of deal to force the Jim Crow Joe administration into sending loads of federal funds to create a bigger welfare system for the illegal aliens and to help them freeload a lot easier. But anyway, without further ado, let's zoom in to this train wreck.
For more on how immigration is affecting communities across the U.S., we turn now to 2 Democratic mayors, Chicago's Brandon Johnson and Denver's Mike Johnston. Gentlemen, welcome to Face the Nation.
Good morning.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for joining us. And Mr. Mayor of Chicago, I want to put to you a question about what seems to have developed overnight. There are reports of a plane from Texas landing in Chicago carrying more migrants that arrived around 1 a.m. I'm wondering if Texas officials gave you any heads up. Who's on the plane? What happens next?
Well, what we have is clearly an international and federal crisis that local governments are being asked to subsidize.
And I have to stop him right there because again, he's lying. Nobody is asking them to do anything other than take care of your own business in your own city and your own state. And that's the bottom line. So again, trying to make the public, whoever who's gullible enough to watch this program and listen to him, believe that the federal government is supposed to be helping.
And this is unsustainable. None of our local economies are positioned to be able to carry on such a mission. And what we have attempted to do is to create structure and some coordination around this humanitarian crisis. And unfortunately, the governor of Texas, Governor Abbott, is determined to continue to sow seeds of chaos and
totally ridiculous. That this is the proverbial pot calling the kettle black, when in Chicago alone, the illegal aliens are being shuffled from pillar to post, from shelter to hotel to the streets to the police station, and it's freezing cold. People are getting sick in the shelters, and a 5-year-old boy died on his watch in the mangy shelter that he's supposed to have proper medical staff there all the time. But anyway, let's continue.
Last night and several nights before, a number of buses continue to arrive in the city of Chicago and throughout the country without any coordination. And now he's taken on this very dangerous task of placing individuals on airplanes and flying them into our various cities. This is certainly a matter of not just of our national security, but it's the type of chaos that this governor is committed to administering.
And again, he keeps using that word chaos. And a lot of times, not to throw this term out because it's being overused, and that's narcissist. Narcissistic people always accuse other people of what they're doing. All of these reports coming out of Chicago, people even speaking out, even the illegal aliens is saying everything is in chaos. We don't know where we're going from one place to another. We're knocking on doors for food. We're knocking on doors trying to get some clothes and stuff like that. That sounds like chaos.
Mr. Mayor of Denver, to be clear here, I know that you have looked at New York and Chicago making decisions to restrict bus arrivals. Are you trying to take measures in your city to restrict them from even arriving in the first place?
So all we want is a system that is humanitarian for both the new folks that are arriving and for our cities and our city employees. And so we understand there will be an inflow. We have already had 35,000 migrants arrive to Denver. We've successfully helped them integrate into the country here. What we don't want is people arriving at 2 o'clock.
But what he won't tell you is that the smooth sailing that he's talking about, like, oh, we got them integrated in the system, migrants and stuff or whatever. But he's talking about the refugees and the asylum seekers that qualify for those statuses, the temporary protected status immigrants that came from the Ukraine and came from Afghans. That's not the same thing. So what he does is conflate the two groups, and he's trying to merge all of these together and talk in general language so that no one will know and be able to differentiate. So the casual viewer and the person who's not in the know, or a bleeding heart person, would look at him and say, well, why can't the federal government help these people? Because they're like the Afghans and they're like the Ukrainians, right? And yeah, just get them settled and with a place to go and work permits, and they'll be all right. They won't be a strain on the government. Yeah, I'm with the mayors on this.
In the morning at a city and county building with women and children outside in 10-degree weather and no support. And so we want buses here to do what every other bus does, which is land at a bus station and a bus stop, and hours when we can have staff there to receive them and to direct them towards services. And so we understand the flow is coming. We just want it to be coordinated and in a humanitarian way, which we think makes it effective for the city and for those newcomers.
There's a famous mayor named Rahm Emanuel. I think he went on record as saying, never let a crisis go to waste. So that's what they're doing. They're just allowing them to come in. They don't care nothing about these people. Just hoard them in like kennel pets, like a crazy cat lady. What they're doing is a fool's errand, but they have to do this to satisfy the demands of the SJWs and the illegal immigration advocates. Starting to get a little bit of headache. Let me go ahead and get my meds and my orange juice.
It means things like arriving 8 to 5, Monday to Friday, with notice.
Right. And I understand that you haven't been able to get the state of Texas to stop sending people. But when it comes to your party's leadership, as Senator Graham said, you have asked the White House for more help. Did they respond to your public call?
Yeah, we've talked to the White House, we've talked to leadership there, and we think they agree on the core needs that we see.
Here we go again, misrepresenting the facts. Jim Crow Joe has not had any FaceTime with any of them, I don't think. The only thing that they have done was secure Zoom calls and FaceTime with aides, henchmen, a staffer, but nothing major. And the Jim Crow Joe administration main goal is to mislead you. It's to tell you what you want to hear and then push you on out the door. So him talking about, oh, we think they agree. No. If they're not taking any action, they're not meeting face to face with you, Jim Crow Joe himself, because the border, or Kamala Harris. How about Kamala? How about Headboard Harris? He has not met with the border czar. So again, fool's errand, going to the border, useless. But anyway, let's keep on going.
I mean, we think this is a solvable problem. There are key priorities we need. We need federal dollars to help support our work here in the cities. We also need federal dollars for more support at the border, the ability to adjudicate asylum claims more quickly so they can be done in 90 days, not in 4 to 6 years. That makes a massive difference. If we have the resources for cities to support us, if we have, when people arrive, we actually have work authorization when they get to a place like Denver so we can put them to work, which is what they want. And we have...
Again, he's talking about the refugees from Afghanistan who is in active war. Taliban took over. The backwards pull out of the troops by Jim Crow Joe. Yeah, the place is in chaos. So of course they were invited. Just wanted to point that out.
And we have a coordinated entry plan where it's not just the governor of Texas deciding what cities to send people to, but it's actually the way we've welcomed asylees in this country for years. When we had asylees from Afghanistan or Ukraine, we had federal support, we had coordinated entry, we had work authorization, and those efforts worked quite smoothly. America knows how to do this. We think we can do it here.
Right. Those are different programs for those refugees, but I hear your point on the work authorization. Mayor Johnston of
she's even calling him out and saying, well, it's quite a different story when you're talking about bona fide refugees who are fleeing war-torn countries. Like, yeah, we already know that. That's how that works. I mean, that's a no-brainer. Like, duh. But what about these group of people that came in illegally, broke into the country, and just showed up and said, hey, border patrol, come and get me. They don't belong here. They need to be deported.
Chicago, did the White House give you what you need in your public call this week?
Well, look, I think there's no secret here that we need comprehensive immigration reform.
And see, did you catch that? She asked him a direct question, and he going off into a monologue and something else. He's answering a question that wasn't even asked.
This comprehensive immigration reform would certainly transform this situation. In fact, it solves this crisis. What we have said repeatedly is that we need Congress to act to provide the resources that are needed in order to carry out this mission. But what we can have is a governor in the state of Texas acting the way he is acting. And quite frankly,
what about you acting the way you're acting? Bullhead, stubborn, delusional, and incompetent on top of that. And just the fact that he won't even meet with his constituents. He won't even meet with the black people in those neighborhoods that he had displaced for 2 months. The Munson Park neighbors, residents. He won't meet with the Brighton Park. He won't meet with none of the tax-paying citizens that he's shaking down for money so that he can throw at the illegal alien crisis in his city. He won't even meet with any of them. He's constantly defying the will of the people. So that's chaos. That is sowing seeds of chaos and discord. Anyway, let's continue. Whew.
The rogue buses that are being dropped off across this country in the middle of the night, leaving people with no real support at all, no coordination.
Oh my God. More lies, more deflections, and more narcissistic talking points.
With the local municipalities, that type of chaos is certainly dividing our country, and we need better coordination between all levels of government to be able to respond to this mission.
When you reach out to the governor, I'm assuming you have, do you get any response?
It's ridiculous for him to say it's dividing the country. It's dividing your city. How about you start there?
Well, we sent an entire delegation to the border to see firsthand what's happening at the border. I've actually spoken.
And again, asked a direct question, gave a totally different answer, and deflected. That has nothing to do with the question that she asked. Did you talk to Jim Crow Joe or not? Absolutely not. That's why he deflected like that. Ugh.
With leaders of the Mexican government, they're having the same challenges that we're having here in America. And so there has to be a real coordinated effort to be able to respond to this crisis. Again, putting people on airplanes and dropping them off in the city of Chicago and Denver and New York without any coordination, without a map. I don't know how many federal laws.
Having illegal aliens being shuffled from a mangy shelter to the streets to a police station, which is absolutely insane to even have them in the police station to live, not to just go in there for food, to live, to have pallets on the floor. It's totally, it's disorganized, it's crazy, it's unheard of. So again, what is the saying? As you point one finger at one person, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 fingers coming back at you. So put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Aviation laws he could be violating, but this type of chaos is not what.
There's none. He has every right to put people on planes and send them. He's lying.
That this humanitarian mission, that's an international crisis, is met with the type of.
It's a city and state crisis.
That's required.
Understood. I mean, I checked the weather in both of your cities. It's 32 degrees in Chicago. It's 25 degrees in Denver. I'm guessing someone walking across from Mexico isn't outfitted for that kind of frigid arrival.
Yeah,
We see
that's
that every day.
right.
We have folks arrive in t-shirts and sandals.
Yeah, it's I want to talk about this more, but I have to take a commercial break. So if you would both stay with us. As we do that, I'll be right back with you. Welcome back to Face the Nation. We pick up where we left off with Denver Mayor Mike Johnston and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. Gentlemen, I do want to pick back up on one of the points you raised, Mr. Johnson of Denver. The White House says it takes 30 days to process work permits and temporary protected status for some of these migrants. You're saying you need people to arrive ready to work. What happens in that 30-day period? Why is that not fast enough?
Yeah, we were grateful for the government's action, including the Secretary's action, to provide temporary protective status for Venezuelans who arrived before July 31st. We advocated
He's conflating again.
for that. They made that change. That was a huge help. The challenge now is Venezuelans who have arrived in the last several months are not eligible for that temporary protective status. They often don't have a path to work authorization, and they may have an asylum claim
Telling the
that's
truth
3 or
now.
4 or 5 years in the waiting until that claim is heard. And so the challenge is on our city streets. We have folks that are here who, whenever I talk to migrants, I was with them yesterday, they'll just say, I only want one thing, which is the ability to work. And we have employers calling me every
Notice he didn't say anything about these people came from Ecuador, Venezuela is in active war. None of that is happening. None of that is happening. That's why their claims are being denied.
day saying, hey, Mayor, I have open jobs. Can I please hire these folks? But we have folks that right now are currently...
And there's the agenda right there.
We'd love to see that.
Let's put these people to work, make money off of them.
Expand for more recent arrivals the same way the Secretary helped it be possible for those who arrived before July 31st.
And that was done through federal authority, through the administration, but changing the law would require Congress to alter some of these programs. I thought it was...
And, I have to give it to this lady. She at least is trying to tell them how crazy they sound. And see right here, she again, she just now stated, in order to change the laws and to even expand these programs, to alter them, to tweak them, you got to go through Congress. And if you can't even get Jim Crow Joe, you can't even get a meeting face to face with Jim Crow Joe to try and act to help the illegal border crossers. How in the heck are you going to even get something sent in urgency to Congress where it's going to live or die? There's no way you're going to get that to happen. And so let's see how he answers this and shuck and jive around this direct question.
Mayor Johnston of Chicago, you also made the point that when it came to Afghans and Ukrainians, they arrived without a problem in your city, and that you would like to replicate that program for everyone.
That's exactly right. There are 30,000 Ukrainian refugees that are in the city of Chicago right now.
Oh.
The difference is, of course, they were fully supported by the federal government. They were able to acclimate themselves and integrate into our economy.
Of course.
We have a number of asylum seekers from Central and South America and the continent of Africa. And the question is, why are we not providing that same support and treatment? Here, look, the bottom line is this.
Because they're not in active war, you fool. Let me pause this. They don't qualify. They do not qualify. Again, he knows this. He knows this. There's no way he can't know this.
Not to have the type of chaos that continues to come from this state of Texas.
There it goes again, chaos. He loved that word.
Governor of Texas, Governor Abbott, is certainly afraid and mad, but he can't cut his own nose off.
He was the one acting a fool in the press conference.
Over a month ago, we provided an ordinance that would ultimately provide some structure and some coordination around when buses should arrive. Should not be dropping people off in the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere, without the type of support that's needed.
You know what? Let me go ahead and interject. I'm about to really kind of go off right here. So, he wants coordination, he wants cooperation, and he wants Governor Abbott to follow the rules, right? Okay, let me pop this up on the screen. This is the full definition of a sanctuary city. Okay, let's look at this. All right, so what is a sanctuary city? Basically, they refuse to cooperate with federal authorities and ICE. These communities typically do not honor requests by ICE to detain undocumented immigrants whom local agents apprehend for misdemeanor crimes or investigations. Many in the sanctuary cities also refuse to deputize the local officers as federal agents as necessary technically if those local officers carry out the duties of ICE agents. There is no specific federal law against sanctuary city policies. Okay, so if the federal government should be hands off with trying to apprehend, arrest, and identify the illegal aliens for either statistics or for deportation, they say 2 middle fingers up, kiss our behind, eat dust, kick rocks, because we're not gonna rat on our illegal aliens. Federal government, get out of here. All right, so what is he talking about? Oh, he needs cooperation and coordination from Governor Abbott, and he's an anarchist. He is a terrorist by sending the buses in no man's land, dropping them off anywhere, everywhere. It doesn't matter. When he's by carrying on the sanctuary city designation, is putting his citizens in danger every single day. So if they don't care about the criminals, the illegal, criminal aliens that are coming to their city, why should Texas Governor Abbott care about the ones that he's dropping off? The destitute ones, why should he care? He has his own policy, putting 2 middle fingers up in the air to your face. So you should understand how being defiant and having a stiff upper lip and a middle finger up in the air to defy authorities. So you should be like, you know what? I got you, bro. I got you. Okay, go ahead and dump them off. You better just let us know whether your coordinates is afterwards. We'll go ahead and get these people and take them in, because and another thing, he don't want them to be. Why is he upset that Texas is getting them up out of there with the quickness? Isn't Texas racist, xenophobic, and discriminate against illegal aliens and brown people and black people? He should be like, yeah, hurry up and get them out of here. Dump them off. We'll get them. We'll take care of them. They ain't going nowhere, because if they go east to the west or wherever, they're not going to have nobody to take care of them. They got nowhere else to go. They got no other options. So they're going to stay there. They're going to stay put, and we'll hurry up and get there with the quickness. And we have a task force that's going to come out of our sanctuary city and come scoop them up day or night, rain or shine. So what's the problem? What's the problem?
Quickly before I let you go, I read Mayor Johnston of Chicago, less than 2 weeks ago, a 5-year-old boy died after falling ill at a migrant shelter.
Ooh, ouch.
City. What state are people showing up in, and what is the health risk here?
Oh, here she go, trying to cover for him.
Well, our condolences are still with the family, and we continue to pray for the family who lost their child. I'm a father of 3. This is just an unimaginable pain. But what is very clear is that not only are we providing mental health related services, as well as vaccinations and health screenings, and providing medical health care for these families when they arrive, the moment they get off those buses, we're not seeing that same treatment.
Okay, that's a lie right there. That's a lie. Total lie. Because if that was the case, what happened at that mangy shelter with the 5-year-old little boy dying, rest his soul, rest in peace, that would never have happened, because he would have been quarantined immediately. And why should he expect Governor Abbott to do his job? He's a state just like he is, and a non-sanctuary state. So why in the world would he do all of the screenings? Like, you might just to be a little bit of an advocate for what he's saying. Like, sure, he could have done that, but he's not obligated to do it when he already knows, he's already set on sending them to the sanctuary city, because the Jim Crow Joe administration is not securing the border. So to alleviate the stress on his state as a whole, he's going to send them to you because you said you want them. So what is the problem except passing blame? And Abbott doing what he's doing is uncovering a whole lot of dirt and inconsistencies in his administration and his agenda that he's not ready for. So good for Governor Abbott for taking care of his tax-paying citizens and getting them up out of there. People who don't belong need to be deported right as soon as they step over. Get on out of here. So Texas governor is doing the right thing. He's not discriminated against you. And previously they said, oh, they're sending them to, he's racist. He's targeting black mayors. Well, this guy right here, Mike Johnson, white-faced Mike Johnson, white bread, milk toast Mike Johnson is white. So what are you talking about? And then Massachusetts is starting to make more news, getting busting at the gills and crying out for help for the illegal aliens there. And she's a white female, from what I can tell. She's a white female. So what you talking about? Martha's Vineyard is a high percentage of white people. They got migrants and they got them up out of there within 48 hours. So again, it is just feeble attempts to try to make the general public look over there. Look at him. He's the racist. He's xenophobic. He's the terrorist, not me. I'm overwhelmed. I'm new here. I'm black. It's not working. So anyway, oh Lord. Only thing they're just doing this for the SJWs. That is going to give them a pat on the back and say, yeah, you did everything. There you go. You said exactly what you're supposed to say. High five, and here's your pat on the back. But he's not respected by his own constituents. The taxpaying citizens of that city and that state got their boot on his neck. And the consensus out there on the streets is that they hate him. They hate him. And that stigma is not going away. That scarlet letter is not going away. So, miss us with the narcissistic talking points yet again.
Border. In other words, there's no health screenings, no vaccinations. That process at the border
he don't owe you.
Is absolutely raggedy and reckless. But we cannot have a governor who decides that he's going to cling to the vestiges.
Okay, I'm gonna go off a little bit. I'm gonna go off a little bit. Something I forgot to mention earlier. I'll say this real quick. When they found out that the Mangy shelter had sick people up in there, they also found out that happened because there was no round-the-clock medical care like he said that there's supposed to be. And in that press conference, I don't know if you want to look it up. I might put a link in the description, but you can look at that video. He clearly didn't know what was happening. He claims he didn't know that the medical staff was inadequate there. They basically didn't have any. There was supposed to be around-the-clock medical staff or even a regular medical professionals coming there at least 2 or 3 times a week to check on everybody. And these people were supposed to be quarantined before they even step foot in the shelter or in the base camp or wherever else they're going to shove them. They were supposed to have been screened, and I think that tuberculosis would have came up on the radar, or a sniffle or some type of symptom, and then they should have been in quarantine. But because they really don't care about the illegal aliens as people, they'll let the SJWs give them the hugs and the high fives and the soft talk, the sweet talk when they arrive. But that's pretty much it. And they're throwing money to try to keep them quiet and keep them shoved away so that they won't overflow on the street, which didn't work. They're on the streets, and they're just doing whatever they can to cover their inadequacies, their incompetencies. But that boy's, that 5-year-old boy's blood is on his hands because he's the commander-in-chief of his city, and he's doing a terrible job, and he's dropping the ball left and right. He's dropping several balls. So anyway, yeah, he should be ashamed of himself. When he's talking about Greg Abbott, he's speaking of himself.
Davis, when we should be pulling to the hopes and aspirations that were left by Frederick Douglass. We have to have a coordinated response to this humanitarian crisis. We cannot allow chaos to dictate and to divide this country. Well,
we will wait to hear from Governor Abbott's.
Listen to her stutter. She's like, she's like, okay, I hear what you're saying, but this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Okay. All right, I'm trying to tell you how dumb you sound, trying to tell you how stupid you sound. I mean, okay, if you say so. All righty then, I'm just doing my job. Let me go ahead and end this report. But anyway, I'm shocked that she even brought up any of those points that she brought up, kind of put the lasso around their head and say, okay, no, I'm roping this right back around to you. Because yeah, that's the norm. That's the norm. How immigration works with people who qualify, and the Afghans and the Ukrainians. Yeah, that was a smooth sailing. But these group of people right here, there's a whole different ball of wax. These people are not qualifying for temporary protected status. So what you gonna do? So anyway, credit to her. Thank you guys if you made it this far. Tell me what you think in the comment section. I would like to know what you took from the interview. And yeah, see you guys next time.